Good evening. Very booming voice. Everyone wants to go in that front door, but the front door is locked. They'll find us later. Well, if we haven't met yet, my name is Randy Croach. I am your city planner. If I haven't met you yet, I'm sorry. Stop by City Hall. I'm here, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We are talking about Loma's legacy. If you took the online survey, this is going to look very similar as far as presentation goes, the feedback section. A couple of quick housekeeping notes. There seems to be some confusion about the logo. It's our city logo. I've been told it's an orange tree. I think it's a very artistic orange tree. Up for your interpretation of whether it's an orange tree. Someone is still lost inside. That's okay. We'll find out. Someone had also asked me about a request to speak. We have some very fancy software as far as how we're going to do feedback this evening. For those that do not have a cell phone or would prefer paper and pencil, I have a paper and pencil version that's coming later in our presentation tonight. So, as far as why we're here, this is Charette. It's a fancy French way of saying we want feedback, we want instant feedback, we want to have as much information from you as we can get in a very quick, let's say the next hour time frame. For those in attendance, I see council members, thank you for attending. Matthew Williams, our city manager, is in the back, so thank you for attending. So really tonight, we're really focusing on everything on top of the hill. That would be the bandstand, terraces, the cottages. I think I've covered all of it, but I'll have visuals to help illustrate my words a little bit better than how I was thinking. So as mentioned, Randy Croach. I'm a certified urban planner. I'm your planning director. With me tonight is our city planner, our planning assistant, our historic preservation officer, and our special projects manager, also known as me, myself, and it's just me. So please be easy, be gentle. I've been here for about 7 months and had a long career here in West Valley. This is really a two-part exercise. The first part, and you probably know this history better than I do, but I'm going to go over the same history you know and you love as well. We're going to talk about how we got to this point that we are here in 2025, everything leading up to it, and really what's yet to come. There's a big break right in the middle. If you have questions, bring them forward. I'll take down all the questions for as many as I can. We'll address. For those that we can't, we'll make a little FAQ, frequently asked questions. We'll put it online. When these results are done, we'll put them online as well. So about 100 years ago, believe it or not, and I don't know if you've all seen this photo before. It's just a joyous photo. I have some red lines that'll pop up here on the screen just to explain this a little bit more. You are essentially a bird over Litchfield Road looking west-northwest. Here's cottage number 1, and I can have a little highlighter like James Bond right there in the middle, just to show where cottage number 1 is. As we know, this is Paul Litchfield's house. This is the future home of the PW Litchfield Heritage Center. And then we have cottage 2, which actually was the farther one, cottage 3. Really hard to tell, but cottage 4 is down there somewhere. That was Catherine's house. Paul had 2 daughters, Edith and Catherine. Catherine used to stay here. And then cottage number 5, the current museum down on Camelback Road. I was joking with some of our members yesterday in the Historical Society. I would have assumed Paul just didn't like his sister-in-law, and that's why he sent her so far away, but I was corrected that she and her husband were caretakers of the orchard. So they're located down here in the orchards. This is a quote from his autobiography I'd like to read for you. But there is one period when business is barred, that is the sunset hour. Dinner may wait, and telephones may ring, but when a sudden hushing of bird song announces the twilight, I am off to the terrace facing the desert. That is a ritual. An Arizona sunset is a gorgeous thing. And so that's where you would stand, right around here, right underneath that Ramada. And so we are looking as if we were the desert, looking back at him, the staircase up to the tank, and move. I'll go back. And his houses are somewhere in here. But as you know, it was a paradise. Yes, very much. And we hope to get there again. So, I'd like to say this was done yesterday. It wasn't done yesterday. I think some of you are familiar with this. Those that aren't, about 21 years ago now, almost 22 in some ways, Mayor Thomas, Woody Thomas, and Horatio Steve, city manager, put together this homestead planning committee. And this was at the behest of Wally Denny, Wally being Paul's son-in-law, the mayor of Edith. He actually attended some of these meetings as well. It was about the fall of 2002, and this committee is formed to figure out how we're going to restore and revitalize the hilltop. And those committee members, it's very clear. I have the minutes of all their meetings, which thank goodness for my predecessors keeping excellent notes. They expressed, regardless of the end use, the homestead property should be preserved and restored. The beauty of the structures of the property should reflect the importance physically, historically, and psychologically of the Denny property to the city and its residents. Wonderful. I wish we were all time travelers and this was still 2003 when I was talking with you. I won't tell you what I was doing in 2003, but I was in a different place in my life. Still in school. So that homestead committee came up with the following ideas. Tours and displays illustrating Litchfield Park and the homestead, nature trails, arboretums, educational programs and lectures, reception areas for public and private events. This is very much in line with what it was in its heyday. Restaurants, tea room, picnic areas, gift shops, outdoor concerts, which I'm always very curious about the jets nowadays and how outdoor concerts would work when that F-35 takes off. I'm not sure. So, fast forward a year. It's October 1st, 2003. City Council accepts this document here. It looks like that. If anyone wants to read it, it's on my desk. It's kind of by. Wally specifically asked that no commercial uses be included in the plan. And as we know, historical, social, cultural uses, these were his desires, his family's desires. We'll talk about those commercial uses coming up. Ultimately, for some reason, 21 years ago, they didn't change the plan. The plan still called out for a commercial corner instance. We'll show you the before and after of what that ended up becoming. And again, in 2003, I would say there was more of a chance than where we are today. I mean, this is what it was at the time that plan was being developed. The grass and the terrace is still there. The grass on the south end of the main house is still there. The house is a wonderful, at least from this. Fast forward, 2015. At the time, our internal staff started developing the restoration plan. It was somewhat in line with this 2003 plan. Again, this was an internal effort. I'm not sure that it ever made it to the public view, the public stage. They had park elements that were shaped and tailored around certain ideas: horseshoe, fountain, sunrise, peacock, bandstand, and of course the wedding terrace. Restoration efforts that were debated and discussed in 2015 would have also included repairs in your buildings and structures, and of course associated parking so that we can all get out there. It was 2.36 back in 2015. 10 years later, that's 5.8 million. I'll be holding a bake sale out front over the next few years to try and get to this number. And here's what that looked like. For those that may know John Ray, John Ray was an old city staffer that made beautiful drawings, quite frankly. What's curious is he had this idea. I'm not sure if this was shared with many, but that there'd be a solar panel field here on the south side. His heart really was devoted here at the north end and the terraces. It really was bound by the paths and by the houses here at midpoint. So last year, you all know, we have new partnerships with Olive Free High School. They are proposing and planning to do the 400-student finance academy, the 700-seat Performing Arts Center, and they're taking about 7 acres. In that 7 acres, they're also providing 234 parking stalls. It is my goal that we won't need another parking spot, that they can take care of that on their dollar, and that we can all enjoy that on the nights and the weekends when they're not in session and not in school. and we won't have to put any more asphalt up there, because I would really prefer no more asphalt up there. As we know, we also have an intergovernmental agreement with Maricopa County. 10,000 square foot library is coming. They're taking about 2 acres and about 71 parking stalls, including 18 golf cart stalls. So, if you don't, if you're aware, the whole entire homestead and the property that the city owns is about 21 acres. So these 2 uses are less than half of what is being considered for the entirety of the site. So what are our goals? Again, going back to what it looked like around 1948 or so, 1950. Our goals are this. I think we've heard from the Historical Society. I'm doing the same exercise with you that we did with our Recreation Public Grounds Commission. I'll tell you those results after you give me your results. I don't want to, affect your grading and your feedback. But phase 1, and it says phase 1 first. This is just the start. More is to come after this. Really, that first initial focus, landscape, hardscape, irrigation, and paths. Things like the Loma coming back. Hedges, palms. Grass is missing here, that hedge wall, those Italian cypress. It's a real bummer, and I have to tell you, that drop is about a 10-foot drop. And nowadays, I can't just have you stand up there. I have to put a big fence in front of it so that no one falls out. Then we'll put hedges in front of it so that you don't know the fence lines behind it. This is a look in 1986. We're going to do a little bit of time traveling for you. You can see the main house right in the middle, the bandstand, the tank, the pool, the former pool right here. What we started to do when we started to realize is what's really the bulk of that homestead, of that greenery, of that beautification efforts is generally within this red outline. I wanted to share this with you because how does the school and house library fit in with that? They're close, but they're not on top. We do feel as though adding these uses is really the catalyst the city, needed in some ways to start all of these efforts simultaneously to bring this all together at once. Library is up there in blue. The overlap between what was and what will be is right here. This green outline I'll highlight for you is that parking area for the school, the pack, and for us, quite frankly. And you'll note there's a couple areas down here where we do have overlap. Fast forwarding in time, again, here's that same shot from 2003 that we looked at, where the greenery was, the terraces, the bandstand, the cottages, and how the rest of those buildings fit in with that. But then, the unfortunate reality, this is a shot from October last year. And I know where we are today. So, my hope, about a year, 2 years from now, I'll go back. Something closer to here, maybe even here. The other thought from earlier was just about Wally's desires for no commercial uses. In that plan from 2003, that's where they would have been. So we feel somewhat relieved, somewhat honored to say, no, there will not be commercial uses. And executing that vision and that request that he gave City Council and City Manager about 22 years ago. So you can see the building footprint, the parking footprint, which would have been just whatever kind of commercial you could imagine, is now in the school instead of cultural use and social use. Last little thing. Here in purple, right there around the main house, is what the Historical Society is working on. So really, as they are our partner here, the schools are our partner in green, the library in blue, everything else is essentially the blank canvas. I will tell you, there's not 1 ounce of this land that's flat. And a lot of things I have to worry about nowadays is I have to think about ADA, I have to think about the strollers, I have to think about the fire truck. So a lot of this is going to be preserved as best as possible. That means stairs, that means ramps, that means probably a bit of concrete. So certainly as little asphalt as possible, but we want to make sure that everyone can get around the entirety of the site. So that's where we were, and our job tonight, and those that have taken the survey online, we're at 103 responses so far, which is great. Though at last count, population is 7,016. So where the other 6,913 folks are, I'm not sure. Maybe they're babies, I'm not sure. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to set up the software. For those with cell phones, this is one of those deals where you'll open your camera and you'll scan a little QR code that'll take you to the survey. The wonderful thing about this technology is as you vote and you're sitting there, we'll be able to see everyone's results and everyone's feedback instantly. These would be the same questions that you've seen online if you took the survey online. And then those without cell phones, those that prefer pen and paper, I have both with the same questions and the same exercises. I can certainly hand out to all of you. If you do have any questions, I think we'll be here all night if we go one by one. But if you have any questions, come up to me, I'll write them down, we'll see if there's consistency and we can answer them in bulk. For those that we can't answer tonight, we'll certainly take down the information and we'll post it on our website. So, I'll switch over to the other screen so you can see the code to log in. If you have any questions directly, come on.
There are different software, so not manually.
You got it. Yeah. I usually have to fries. They'll get set up. Yeah, you know, and I signed up for fries, and I still have to do I get to the store, and then the thing is way up there, and I say,
Okay.
They will, if I can find them. It's in use.
I thought,
And they don't have to. Yeah, so it's still under.
oh, that's good.
Yeah. And then show everybody. The data is pretty much the same. But I didn't stuff. Entries and I'm figuring out that legal release is
Oh, yeah, well, because they also go out.
yeah.
But I know.
Out there.
Can't do that, well, the stuff is going on just at the arrow, that's where we're supposed to be. That'll be interesting.
Anyway, this is just sort of.
The easiest way to know if you've done this correctly is there's a little thumbs up on the first page. If you give a little thumbs up, it'll show you give you a little thumbs up right
Oh,
now.
yeah, we got that.
Is there anyone that needs more time to log in? Is there anyone that needs the paper version? Okay,
If you don't have the little thumbs up.
let's take a look at your screen. There you Okay, so I've advanced the slide, and so your phone should look the same as my screen. All good? Excellent. Wonderful. I appreciate the little thumbs up. I assume you're giving a thumbs up because there wasn't a place to give a thumbs down. I understand. Okay, real quick, just if you're able to use the Menti, it's called a Mentimeter, just say yes on your little voting. For those that have the paper, this is one of your questions. Wonderful. Okay, we'll go forward. So, for those that have paper, you'll see the same 3 questions and 3 prompts. I'll show you. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, real quick. Sorry. Your first question, what word would you best describe as Loma? For those that you have the phones, you can type in whatever word you'd like. That word will pop up here on the screen. As more people use that same word, you'll see that word get bigger and bigger. Just like that.
Is this on the paper form where it says word association?
Yes, that's correct.
And fill in what you.
Please, yes. And so the paper version is a little vague on purpose. I didn't want anyone working in pen. So there's just there's a prompt on the paper version that is explained on the screen, I should say. Wonderful. Okay, we're going to move to the next one. Oh, your more responses. Okay, here we go. Question 2. For those that have the paper form, I'll read out the full question. For those that have your phones, you have a little slider bar. You can move between strongly agree and strongly disagree. This should look very similar to the online version again, if you've taken that before. So those are the paper forms. The redevelopment should primarily benefit the residents of Litchfield Park. That's one of your questions. Strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. Everything like that. It is important that the community has a significant voice in the redevelopment of Loma Homestead. All of you tonight, thank you for coming. Third question of this one. Preserving the historical character of Loma Homestead is important. And agree, disagree, neutral, all the above. And the nice thing about this is you all know how each other feels instantly. Give it a couple more seconds. Okay. Voting function. Oh. Question 3. Please consider the following statements. Agree, strongly disagree, what have you. I support the inclusion of educational programs such as historical tours and workshops. And I support inclusion of recreational and active amenities such as courts. We've been getting a lot of questions, is this mean bocce? Sure. Does it mean pickleball? Sure. Does it mean basketball? Sure. There's a line in the sand, and part of the reason we were doing these exercises with the Historical Society, with RPG, when we're doing this online with you this evening, is this a passive area or an active area? Is this where you take in nature or you take on a sweat, I guess you could say, with active amenities? And then for those doing the paper versions, if you can't see, strongly disagree is the left, strongly agree is the right. Okay. Question 4. Those that have the paper forms, if you could write a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, how you feel that these should be ranked. For those that have your phones, you're going to tap, you're going to drag each one, how you see this all working out. Just for clarification, this is the same order as it was online. It's just alphabetical order. This is not in any sort of preference already. It's a little bit tricky on the phones. You got to really tap and hold and move it around.
Street, could you read for us?
Yes.
Right.
Great idea.
Because we can't.
I know. I stood in the back a few days ago to see what kind of font size I needed, and my presentation was fine, but then the software has limitations. If I paid more money, I could change the size of the font, but it was quite a bit of money. I think there was about 30 or 40 of you with your phones, and it looks like we have about 11 responses so far, so I'm not going to rush by any means. We'll stay here for a little bit.
Repeat again how on the phone they can
Yes,
rank them.
welcome to you.
Rank them up? Yeah. Okay. The next one, the next one. Okay. got it, so. The highest rate, or you got it decided.
Sure, everybody knows we're gonna use.
That was what I was, I had to give it.
For those that have the paper forms, first place through eighth place, if that makes sense. Yes. Sorry, so those are the paper forms. If you could do similar to this, first place, second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place.
One is good.
One is the best. I splurged on pencils. These are golf pencils.
1 point versus 8.
No, I splurged on pencils and got golf pencils with erasers on them, just for that reason. Feel free to keep them. I bought 150. Sure. So the colors are just so you can see the difference between each level. There's no rhyme or reason. If I wanted to pay more money for the software, I could have done more things. Does anyone want more time on the cell phones?
Yes.
Okay. Right now, the votes. First place currently walking trails. Second place botanical gardens. Third place Ramada's pergolas, gazebos. I don't know why they come out up over there. Wedding or event space in fourth. Outdoor concerts fifth. Playground sixth. Recreation or ball courts seventh. And wheel park, skate park, bike park, scooter park. I had a feeling, but we wanted to address all options around the table in one space. More time for anyone? Anyone more time? Raise your hand. Okay. We'll go forward. For the last few votes, nothing changed as far as the previous announcements, first to last. Question 5. For those with the paper forms, you have, I think, the more fun version. There's a little picture of Loma, as we saw it in the presentation. Please, write anywhere, write anything, anywhere as far as what's next, what's first, what would you like to see, where should we focus on? Is it the terraces, is it the bandstand, is it the other cottages, is it restoration of the runs? Definitely should be restoration of the bathrooms, in my personal opinion. I'll show you. I don't know if I can point on this one. I'll reach and show you. Very small red rectangle. They're there today. For those on the cell phones, you can drop a pin wherever you see it as our biggest focus. Oh, there we go. Just like that. No, I can't hide it. The question earlier, this is the bathroom building right here. So the question was, I see something in the bottom left-hand corner. That is the orchards, Loma Village. That is the edge of the parking lot. If you're familiar with the terrace, the westernmost terrace is right here in the parking lot, and you can see some of the covered parking is right here. Does anyone need more time? More time? Yes, more time?
There's no mention here about the Peterville Litchfield Heritage Center. Where does that fall into the ranking?
Good question. So the good news about, and thank you for asking the question, I should have addressed it if I had not. Here is the little purple outline. Our partners, really, just like the school, just like the library, our partners in the Historical Society are doing fundraising efforts to lease a portion of Loma in order to restore the main house and have some associated green space here at the south end, very similar to the picture from yesterday. So that is a parallel effort of the cities. So the city is really working on everything surrounding what we hope will be the museum and hopefully opening around the same time as everything else. Okay, we'll keep going. So, before we conclude, another quote from his autobiography, which I'll read for you. When I made my first visit to the Southwest, this hill caught my attention. It was not as big a hill, and not as high as Bunker Hill in Boston. It was an outcropping of rock and sand thrown up in the cooling of the Earth's surfaces ages before it covered, like the rest of the desert growth. It was high enough to afford a commanding view of the valley, so it was only natural that when I bought the property and took its whole 160 acres surrounding the hill. It only cost $50 an acre, which is, I think, a little different nowadays, so that I could always have a little of the desert to look out over, no matter how completely the country built up. I was like that. So, next steps. First of all, thank you for coming today. Please tell your neighbors, ask them why they could not visit tonight. There's no football, there's no basketball, they should all be here. As soon as we're going to tally all this up, we're going to tally all the surveys we've gotten online so far, combine them, put them on our website. The survey is still going to remain open, so if you haven't taken it, if your neighbors haven't taken it, please let them know that survey is still available. Someone had asked about timing. The restoration, this phase one, this beautification, this greenery again, is scheduled to be completed in line with the school, the library, which is around the fall of 2026. I told people I will take vacation in 2027 when this is all done. For some reason, we're doing Litchfield Square at the same time. That's a lot to take on. You can't really see it because it's hyperlinked, but this is my phone number. If you need my email address, I'll let you know what it is. rproch@litchfieldpark.gov. That's my phone number as well. If you need to reach me, I am down the road, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. It's always encouraging to see all of you. From time to time, I'm informed of chatter on Facebook or chatter amongst all of you. Please talk to me. reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. If you hadn't signed in yet, there are a couple clipboards there next to the door. And if you could, those are the paper forms, those that still have an NT open. Anything we've missed, anything else you want to add, those are the paper forms. Feel free to jot it down. I'll take those. For those that have your phones, feel free to respond. I'll leave this up. I'll be in front of you if you have any other questions. And yes, I see a couple questions.
You said right at the end, something about leasing land from Loma. What was that about?
So the PW Litchfield Heritage Center has been in conversations with the city to lease a portion of the city-owned land for the museum and for their efforts as part of the Heritage Center.
Oh, okay, so first of that.
Yes. Other question?
I'm sorry, I forgot your first name.
Randy. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you for coming out. If you have other questions, yes?
Can you go back to the slide that had your map? Give us some idea how far off Litchfield Road is the library and the edge of the building for the school? How much distance is there between the library and Litchfield Road?
So
You can't go back.
I can. It'll just take me a second. For those still working on that team will still work. I'm just going to switch screens up here, so don't be alarmed. Your phones will still connect. Oh yeah, I can certainly put this presentation online. Yes.
And where is Missouri compared to the library?
Is it north of the library?
Missouri is north of the library. Yes.
Okay.
I'll go back to the math. So, Litchfield Road, it's really hard to see. The dashed line is the property line as far as the private ownership versus city's driveway. There's about 30 feet before you start with the asphalt of Litchfield Road. The other thing that's not shown yet is the roundabout. That'll be at Brenton. Forgot I had a corner. Brenton is right about here. That's the entrance into Sunset Terrace, the development to the east. So that roundabout, I wish I could drag this a little bit further because then the circle would look like a roundabout. So the road, just like it does at Village Parkway, over there, the road's going to have to curve to slow down people and bring them into the roundabout. So I can't say for certain it'll stay 30 feet. At some points it'll be 50 feet. At some points it'll be 30 feet.
Did you say it's like where that green line is, approximately?
The green line is 30 feet away from the asphalt today.
But Missouri is north of the library.
Missouri is still about 800 feet, 900 feet. Please don't quote me. I'm recording myself, but it's somewhere around 800 to 900 feet away, further north. Yes?
Is funding secured for phase 2? The reason I ask is you have a development down for retail that's sitting there with the infrastructure in and no retail and empty lots. We're going to have beautiful landscaping and still the old buildings without restoration. So my concern is the funding there to do phase 2, or could we end up with it sitting there like the development down off of Litchfield is?
Certainly. That's a two-part answer, so I'll answer it in 2 parts. The first, Litchfield Square, in the next 12 to 20 days, all the fencing and all the crews are gone. It's been a long time. I wish I could tell you everything I know about what's yet to come. They put a chip in the back of my neck whenever I start talking about these things that are a bit privileged still. I can tell you that the first groundbreaking is set for 3 to 4 weeks from now on one of the tic-tac-toe squares. The other 2, we've received requests for proposals. We are in negotiations for sales of 2 more of those. With those about to, I'd say, cross the starting line as far as the look at the feel and what they're going to build, we'd be halfway there.
the primary question was, is the funding in place for phase 2 of the redevelopment of the hilltop?
Yes, I'm sorry, I wanted to fully answer your first half of the question before answering the second half. The second half of your question regarding funding, everything that is garnered and gained from construction sales tax on the construction of this site is being put right back into hilltop restoration. That is contractually obligated by the city when we took on this project with the school, so that every dollar from the school, as far as that construction sales tax, goes into these restoration efforts. How far those restoration efforts go, as far as if it includes restorations of the other cottages, I don't have that answer yet. The other thing is, we're working with the Farm and Ranch Museum. They have interest in these cottages as well. We hope they come forward and be a partner like W. Litchfield and eventually take over and run museums out of those as well. Over here.
2 questions. One, is there, like, does the city have wells for this property? Like, they're talking about the tank. Like, does the water, is it like cheaper water to be able to get this thing like more lush and like an oasis? Or is it like we're going to pay a lot of money for Liberty, you know, just pumping it and whatever the rates are?
Would you like to ask the other question?
So, and then the second question, kind of the square. Is there anything like once we sell a lot, they have to start building within a certain time frame, or can someone buy a lot and just sit on it for years?
It depends on how the contract was written. That's the easier question to answer first, so that's all part of the negotiation as far as how that goes. A lot of people have been waiting for a market correction and for construction costs to come back down. They seem to be just staying as they are, and this seems to be our new normal. To answer your first question, about, I'd say 100 years ago, there was a well site way off screen, much closer to Luke, that had a line that fed all the way to this tank and essentially acted as a cistern, and then gravity fed through swales all the way back down the hill to the orchards to take care of all that. Those rights and those agreements are of yesteryear, so that to your question, any beautification, any landscaping, any irrigation is all from Liberty as the water provider. The other point, as far as do they have reclaimed water or not potable water for irrigation use, they do not in this area have that opportunity for us to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to hold anyone. This is the end of the presentation, so if anyone else has questions, feel free. If not, thank you for coming tonight. I really appreciate all of you for being here. Oh yes, I'll take the cards for those that have paper forms.